Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. My dear respected elders and brothers, beloved students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are continuing our tafsir of Surah Fatiha and Tafseerul Quran. Our program is every day after Maghrib these days, and as time changes, that time might change as well as the days get shorter or longer, so our timings might change. But right now, after Maghrib, alhamdulillah, we are doing a tafsir for 10 minutes, inshallah. We started Surah Fatiha, and we started with the praises of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, which we said was only right. The demands of hikmah and wisdom are such that a person must thank, be grateful, and praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, because Allah Ta'ala has given us all the ni'mats and the blessings. And we elaborated and talked about different aspects in Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. After that, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. After knowing that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is Rabbul Alameen and He is the Lord of all the worlds, so to understand that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala runs this world with His Rahmah, the Ghalba, and the overpowering effect of the quality of Rahmah of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, so that the servant does not become despondent, he doesn't give up, he doesn't become hopeless, and his jazba and his enthusiasm becomes evident when he knows that Allah Ta'ala is Rahman, Allah Ta'ala is merciful, He's ready to forgive his sins and overlook his mistakes. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. But with that as well, we know that in softness and in kindness, there's always the aspect of insan trying to take advantage of the situation. When someone is soft and kind and overlooking, so people try to take advantage. And insan has this type of fitrah and this type of nature in him. So Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala now goes to another side, Maliki Yawmiddin, the side of fear. In the beginning of Surah Fatiha, we mentioned that Surah Fatiha is it's an embodiment of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-iman bayn al-khawf al-raja. That iman and faith, it's between fear and it's between raja and hope. The hope we did already, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now Maliki Yawmiddin, fear. That one of the driving forces why we are sitting here right now, your parents have sent you to madrasa, we're listening in on tafsir, we came for salat and made sure that we made it for takbir ula. If we couldn't make it for takbir ula, we still came late just to join the prayer and just to make sure that we are involved in the ibadat of Allah Ta'ala. What's the driving force? What's the reason? Accountability. We know that one day we're going to stand in front of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That one day we will have to answer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So the driving force behind our ibadat and our worship and our obedience to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the fact that one day the day of Qiyamah will come and we'll have to be in front of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. When we read Maliki Yawmiddin, so there's two ways that the Qur'an, that the great reciters of Quran and Allah Ta'ala revealed it in two different qiraat, two different ways of reading. And one is the common way that we read, that most of the ummah is reading, Maliki Yawmiddin, Malik, which means owner of the Day of Judgment. And another way to read is Maliki Yawmiddin, King of the Day of Judgment. And both have different translations and slightly different meanings. Both basically mean the same thing, but they have different ways of looking at them. And the first is the common qiraat which we read, Maliki Yawmiddin, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the owner of the Day of Judgment. This is showing us, because insan, one of the things that he has a lot of fakhr and he has a lot of pride and has a lot of dignity about is the fact that he has power and he owns things. He has possessions. And on the Day of Judgment we know that there will be no possessions. But what is left over is that even insan, when he has no possessions, but he still has ownership and power and what we call haqqut tasarruf. He can do whatever he wants with his own abilities. We live in America, freedom of speech, right? If you try and stop someone from saying something, he will say, no, I can say whatever I want. And in many cases, it's not, of course, it's limited logically, but the freedom to do whatever you want also. The freedom to do whatever you want. This at least insan has. Even, the poor person, the person who has nothing. I remember we were in Pakistan, when we used to live there, and we were there for a while when we were studying the deen, and sometimes the beggars would come. And they have nothing. They don't have anything, no food, no money, nothing. So when you would give them something, they would make a lot of dua for you. But if you didn't give something, then they would curse you. You couldn't control that speech, even though he had nothing. But he did whatever he wanted. He said whatever he wanted. He'd curse you and say something bad to you if you didn't give him any money. So even the person who's a pauper, who's a beggar, who doesn't seem to have any power, you cannot stop his speech. You cannot stop his actions. He can do and say basically whatever he wants. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala will own this as well. Things will be finished. There will be no تَقَطَّعَتْ بِهُمُ الْأَسْبَابِ. All means of everything will be finished. Nobody will have any money. Nobody will have any riyasa, any governmentship. There will be no presidents. There will be no prime ministers. There will be nothing. Allah Ta'ala will own everything on that day. And Allah Ta'ala will own even the ability to speak and do on that day of judgment. We will not be able to do that even. Allah Ta'ala mentions, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ وَقَالَ الصَّوَابَ. Allah Ta'ala says, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ. That day when the angel, ذُو مِرَّةٍ, Jibreel alayhi salam, who Allah Ta'ala himself says, wo bahut powerful hai. He's a very powerful angel, ذُو مِرَّةٍ. He will be standing in front of Allah Ta'ala. And all the angels will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saffan, in lines. La yatakallamun. The angels, the people, no one will be able to speak. If it's the angels, there's shafa'ah and haqqus shafa'ah, and the ayat will do later on. They will even be in fear on that day about haqqus shafa'ah. Already it's known already that the angels will give shafa'ah, they will give intercession for the believers. But on that day they will be in fear. They will even think that, do we have that? We don't know. This is such a day that we have to get the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they won't be able to speak, and the people will not be able to speak also. لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن. Except for he who Allah tabarak wa ta'ala gives permission to. وقال الصواب. No garbar. Sometimes when we used to be in Azadville, so we would have anjuman, like you guys have. Anjuman. Right? You guys have anjuman, right? When you have Jummah, right? Jummah, yeah. I'm trying to get Kiwullah, you guys to do anjuman. So you have the anjuman, and the student comes and gives a talk. Sometimes some student, shararati bachi we call them, right? Shararati. So when they get the mic, they are doing something wrong with the microphone. Sometimes the hifz kid, couple times I see, the azan, microphone's on, they come, they'll say something in the microphone, do something funny. So you give him the microphone and he says wrong. In the anjuman also sometimes, the kid would get up and no one check his bayan, and he'd get up and give kharab bayan. He's talking about soccer and talking about this and that, and then we have to, Qadi Ismail will come say, Rahmatullah, come sit him down. What's he talking? He got up opportunity, he did got up and went up. It's not going to happen on the day of Qiyamah. If anybody, Allah Ta'ala gives permission, he stands up and speaks, qala sawaba. He can only speak correct things. He can't get up and say, oh man, this is terrible. What's going on here? I don't know what's going on. Let's say a kafir might say, that this sucks, we're going to Jahannam, what's going on here? This is terrible. No one will get up and say that. Whatever they say, they'll only say that which Allah Ta'ala wants them to say. يَوْمَئِذِ يَتَّبِعُونَ الدَّاعِيَ لَا عِوَجَ لَهُ. In Surah Taha, Allah Ta'ala mentions, on that day, يَتَّبِعُونَ الدَّاعِيَ. They will follow, everybody will follow the caller. They won't be able to do anything also. They'll all follow the caller. An angel will call out to follow. لَا عِوَجَ لَهُ. And no one will mess around. Bichara, Maulana Muhammad Ali at night time, sometime I'm coming out also, if student come here, there, please sit down, this, that. Right? You come over here. You ever see the sheep herder? Sheep going over there, sheep going over there. You have to get them together. La iwajala. On the day of Qiyamah, everybody will follow, come this way towards the mahshar. La iwajala. Everyone will follow. I remember I was traveling to Manhattan one time in the morning time, And this ayat came in my mind because in the train station, nobody was talking. All you heard was the footsteps going onto the train. And everyone's looking down, going to work. لا عوج وخشعت الأصوات للرحمن فلا تسمع إلا همسا. Or everything, every sound will be quiet only for Rahman. Day of Qiyamah, everyone will be walking to the mahshar looking down. فَلَا تَسْمَعُ. And you cannot hear anything إِلَّا hamsa. You guys have done tajweed. Hums, right? Alayk, that's hums. Or the sound of the camel. When the camel steps on the ground and he does that. This is hums, called hums. The footsteps, the shoveling of the feet, that's all you're going to hear on Day of Qiyamah. Everybody looking down, walking towards the mahshar. This is Maliki Yawmiddin. Allah Ta'ala is in control of everything. Nobody will be able to say anything, nobody will be able to do anything, nobody will own anything. Only Allah Ta'ala on that day is Maliki Yawmiddin. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll do Maliki Yawmiddin, the king of the day of judgment. Inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected elders and brothers, beloved students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yesterday we were doing the ayat Maliki Yawmiddin, which means Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He is the owner of the Day of Judgment. And we had said yesterday that there's two ways that the qiraat is read, that the recitation is read in this ayat. One is Maliki Yawmiddin, which we did yesterday, which means Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the owner of everything on the Day of Judgment. Whether it be things that we possess, Allah Ta'ala will own it. وَلِلَّهِ مِيرَاثُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Everything that is in this world goes back to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He will destroy it and it will be gone, and He owns it at the end of the day. And even things that we think we have full power over, for example, what we do, what we say, we proved yesterday and showed that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala on that day will have full ownership of that also. Nobody will be able to do, nobody will be able to speak anything without the permission of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Even the angels will be in that position as well. The next qiraat and next way of reading is Maliki Yawmiddin. And Maliki Yawmiddin means that Allah Ta'ala is the king of the Day of Judgment. Now why would Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and what would it mean that Allah Ta'ala is the king of the Day of Judgment? Because we know that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the king of everything. But why specifically the king of the Day of Judgment? So in this world, if we see and ponder, we will notice that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala Himself has given power to certain people and is giving them what we call mulk, kingdom. And these people who have these kingdoms and they become kings, they become such kings and it fogs their understanding so much that many of them, they do such jabr, they become so oppressive, and they also become very mutakabbir. They start being prideful as well. That they are not ready to listen to anybody, and they are ready to do anything in order to hold their kingship and in order to show that they are king. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, towards the end of Surah Baqarah, talks about Namrud. He's one of the kings that's mentioned in the Quran, along with Fir'aun, Qarun. These are all leaders. Fir'aun, Qarun, Haman, these were all leaders. Some of them kings, some of them more less leaders of their countries or their places. But Namrud was a king. And Allah Ta'ala mentions, أَلَمْ تَرِ إِلَى الَّذِي حَاجَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ فِي رَبِّهِ أَنْ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ. Did you not see the one who fought and argued with Ibrahim alayhi salam in regards to Ibrahim alayhi salam's Lord? And why did he fight with him? أَنْ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ. Because Allah Ta'ala gave him kingdom. If he was a simple, normal person in the market area, he wouldn't have fought like that. He wouldn't have misunderstood what Ibrahim alayhi salam was saying. But because he had kingdom, so he misunderstood what Ibrahim was saying. What was Ibrahim alayhi salam saying? Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit. My Lord is the one that gives life to everything and He gives death to everything. And what did he reply? Ana uhyi wa umit. Which Mufassirin say, what an idiot. He went and took somebody out from jail and freed him. And he said, Ana uhyi, look, I am giving the life. I freed him from the jail. And he took someone, a free person, brought him inside the kingdom and killed him, na'udhu billah. And he said, but umit, I also give death as well. Misunderstood Ibrahim alayhi salam. But why did he misunderstand Ibrahim alayhi salam? Because of the kingdom and because of the takabbur and jabr of kingdom. And once a person gets on that type of stage, and that type, very few of them will be right-minded and be just when they get there. That's why our ulama of the past and even of the present, they stay far away from the mulk and far away from the kings. And they used to also stay away, far away from kingdomship as well. They would not want to become kings or even leaders or even people who be close to the king because of this athar and effect of zulm and oppressiveness and power and pride. That's why amongst the Anbiya, Yusuf alayhi salam was one of the Nabis that Allah Ta'ala made him king. But at the end of Surah Yusuf, Yusuf alayhi salam makes dua. And what is that dua? Yusuf alayhi salam said, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk wa 'allamtani min ta'wil al-ahadith. That, oh my Allah, you have given me the kingdomship. وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, and you taught me how to interpret dreams as well. These are the two things Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala gave Yusuf alayhi salam. Then after that, he says, فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَنْتَ وَلِيِّ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ تَوَفَّنِي مُسْلِمًا وَالْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. Fatih, you are the one that created the skies and the earth. I'm king, but the creation of skies and the earth, only you did. فَاطِرَ السَّمَاءِ أَنْتَ وَلِيِّ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. You are my guardian in this world and the hereafter. Though I'm a king, you are my guardian. And oh Allah, look at the last dua of Yusuf alayhi salam. Tawaffani muslima walhiqni bis-salihin. The ulama say in tafsir that what does this dua mean? Tawaffani muslima, give me death as a Muslim, walhiqni bis-salihin, and align me on the day of Qiyamah with the pious. Why would Yusuf alayhi salam make this dua? Of course he's going to die as a Muslim. He's a prophet of Allah Ta'ala. And of course, forget about being with the Salihin. He will be in the head and the leader of the Salihin. But the reason why he said this, the ulama say, is because Allah Ta'ala made him a king. Yusuf alayhi salam had fear. A taqwa fear, of course, a fear that came from his great wara and his fear that what? Oh Allah, do not raise me amongst the kings. You made me a king in this world, but I don't want to be raised amongst the kings. Raise me amongst the common Muslims, the believers, and align me with those people who are pious. Don't align me with the muluk, with the kings. So Yusuf alayhi salam also, he used to make dua like this. Staying away, even though he was a king, he was very scared of being a king as well. Now, we come to why is Allah Ta'ala saying, Maliki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin. The reason why Allah Ta'ala is saying that is because on the day of judgment, there'll be no mulk, there'll be no kings. The only thing that will be evident and manifest is the kingship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yawmahum barizun. Allah Ta'ala says on the day of Qiyamah, Yawmahum barizun. Everyone will be in the open. There'll be no buildings in front of us. There'll be no hills in front of us. Everybody will be on a flat land in front of Allah Ta'ala. Barizun zahirun. La yakfa ala Allahi minhum shay. Nothing will be hidden in regards to them from Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala, you'll be right in front of Allah. You cannot hide anything. Limanil mulkul yawm. Lillahi al-wahid al-qahar. On this day, whose kingdom is it on this day? Lillahi al-wahid al-qahar. It is for Allah Ta'ala who's the only one and He's the powerful. Ulama from this in their tafsir say that this actually Allah Ta'ala will say. When will He say it and how will He say it? Inshallah, tomorrow's tafsir, we will talk about when Allah Ta'ala will say this. That limanil mulkul yawm. Today, whose kingdom is it? Obviously, it's the kingdom of Allah Ta'ala and He will answer Himself. But there's different views, a couple of tafsirs. We'll do that inshallah. And then we'll do the tafsir of yawm and deen as well. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi.